strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say sex?
As prescribed, take your medication, exercise, and diet. On 88.5 Sufra FM, tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
Good good morning and welcome to a new edition of Casualty 911 on 88.5 Super FM this lovely Monday morning. It is always a pleasure to be with you. I am your host today, Fawn Minviel. To all of our regular listeners, we bid you welcome. Thank you for always staying tuned and joining us for our programs. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. We appreciate you dropping by. We hope that you will stay and enjoy the discussion this morning. We are in the carnival season, a season full of many activities. We have the Calypso, we have King and Queen of the Band, we have the national events, we have fetes, we have Soufre Carnival coming up right after. So there's a lot happening in this month of July. Some of you may be participating, going out there to the fetes, being part of the various activities, jumping in a band, and whatever your involvement may be. Some of you may just be staying home and enjoying family time. But for those of us who will be part of all of that carnival, part of the carnival season, we would like to have a little discussion this morning about our safety during that season. Today we have with us our safety and also a little bit of having a bit of consideration for others. We have with us a guest who is not new to the program, Mr. Caleb Paul, who I think he'll introduce himself, but I think I can say that he works with the Substance Abuse Advisory Council Secretariat of the Ministry of Health. That's a mouthful, the SACS of the Ministry of Health. And he's with us this morning. He will be talking to us as it relates to substance abuse. So welcome, Caleb.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And before we go into our discussion with Caleb, I just want to remind all of you that there's information out there, but I would like to remind all of you, and for those of you who may have missed it, the Environmental Health Division of the Ministry of Health has put out a reminder to the vendors and to all the patrons or would-be patrons of the various activities, so that you can try to be safe out there as it relates to what you consume. When we're out there for so long, we get hungry and we have to eat. So for the vendors, you need to get your temporary license. By now, you should know the drill to contact the Environmental Health Division and they will guide you as to how to go about doing that. For those of you who are new, for those of you who are veterans, well, you know what the process is, and we encourage you to do that in a timely fashion. So for the vendors, remember to try to maintain all of the food safety guidelines, basic guidelines such as having your hand wash area to make sure that you can maintain good hand hygiene, covering your hair, ensuring that the area where you are preparing the food is clean. You're not supposed to be wearing a whole load of jewelry when you prepare the food. Ensure that whatever has to be served hot is served hot, and what has to be served cold is served cold. and just to try to keep everybody safe out there. For those of us who will be out there and hungry, don't wait until you're dying of hunger to just go and pick up anything, because at that point you just don't care. You just want to eat. So we may not even be paying attention to things like whether the environment looks clean. We may not even look at the food. We just bite into the chicken or the whatever. And when we check ourselves, that have blood in it still. You understand those little things. So just to be aware and to pay attention to what we're being served, how the vendors or the people who are serving their hygiene, where they are maintaining the basic hygiene practices, and also on our end to try to maintain some kind of hand hygiene. We may not have soap and water available. And I know for the ladies, I mean, sometimes the purses are so small, you can't even put the phone in there. But at least try to hold on to a little hand sanitizer, a little wet wipes or something to try to maintain a bit of hand hygiene when we're out there, particularly if we know that we're going to be eating. Now, having said all that, just a little reminder that last week we had with us Dr. Dana Gomez of the EPI unit of the Ministry of Health, and she spoke at length about the event-based surveillance. So, just a little reminder that the event-based surveillance is meant to help to alert the Ministry of Health when there are issues on the ground. So, for example, usually, as she explained to us, we have an indicator-based surveillance where you would have the hospitals, the health centers, and so on. But with event-based surveillance, anybody in the community can reach out to the Ministry of Health to inform them, because, when we say report, sometimes people feel like, they're doing a disservice to whoever it is they're reporting, but you're informing so that they can do an investigation, make sure that everything is okay. So, for example, things like 10 of you went to a fete you bought from the same vendor and all of you are sick, vomiting, diarrhea, and all of that. You can call the 311 call center to report that event, and they will take it from there. They will investigate and they will provide a response based on what has happened and what is necessary. So I've said quite a bit, and I feel like Caleb really needs to get in there and talk a little bit so that you can hear a different voice this morning. So Caleb, we will be talking about, substances out there, and in particular, the smoking in public spaces. So
let me thank you again for having us, the Substance Abuse Secretariat. You can say that for short. It's always a pleasure to be here. I like the partnership that we have built with Soufre FM, and of course your show, you and Louisa, always bringing to light the importance of persons being safe during the different seasons we celebrate here in St. Lucia. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I know some of our staff, they are tuned in, so we want to tell them a quick hello. And of course your listeners, the review that we get most of the times on your show, that people are listening, and our topics are always interesting. So we welcome everybody. So this morning we want to speak, as Fawn was saying, and your introduction, we can start off there, because there is a concern for us, even with our vulnerable people. When we say vulnerable people, like our minors and so on, who attend those events, or in some way I'm not sure if these events are open to them. That's
But
something
they find their
they
way
find
in
their
there
way there.
anyway.
Yeah. And
Hopefully accompanied by an adult. But
yes, and most of them probably would be tempted to consume some of the substances that would be available at those events. So we really want to add it to what you said, the persons who are serving those substances, the alcohol and other substances, especially to ensure that we don't serve minors. We don't serve minors. You know, as we know, they are still young. They are in a period of development that is very, very, how would I say that, fragile. You know, if these things are introduced to them at a young age, then you know we open a door for them to continue to use those things. So we ask all our vendors, our parents, to ensure that you know, at these events, that our minors are not served those substances, especially alcohol.
well, as it relates to alcohol, Caleb, I
Yeah.
think we really need to sometimes remind people
Mhm.
that an alcoholic beverage is any beverage which contains
Yes,
alcohol. It
of
could be
course.
1%.
Yes,
It
yes.
contains alcohol.
Mhm.
So we include that when we say don't serve
Yeah, of
alcohol
course.
to
Yeah,
minors, because you know people still have this idea
Mhm.
that you know an
Certain-
alcoholic
Mhm.
beverage might be maybe the
Yeah,
brandy,
yeah.
the rum,
Right.
or maybe a
The
bit,
stronger,
maybe
yeah.
the stronger
Mhm.
because they tell you it's like
Juice,
juice,
yes.
or sparkling juice.
Yeah, we get that all the time.
Yes,
Yeah.
imagine just last week coming home from work, I saw a young boy, just early teens, walking with a beverage in his hand,
Mhm.
walking on the road with a beverage. And that
Wow.
beverage, it certainly has
Yes.
more than 1% alcohol.
Mhm.
That I know
Mhm.
for sure. So
Yes.
I think our vendors, we need to try to balance, you know, the need to sell
Mhm.
and to make the profit,
Mhm.
and think about the you
Yeah.
know the possible consequences for, as you said, somebody whose brain
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
developing and so
And
on.
not just that,
Yeah.
to the safety of these persons, the vulnerable persons. It's up to us to protect them. Again, they're at an age where they would want to experiment with those things. They are in a place where they see people doing it. I mean, these things are in our families. Um, they are accessible to us, so everybody knows where they can get it. So it's not something foreign to them. And you know, we as adults in a position like a vendor should take some responsibility to
And the
ensure.
parents too,
Yeah, the
you know, and the
parents, of
parents
course,
too, because you
course.
know sometimes we look at the external
Mhm,
party
right,
like
you're
the
correct.
vendor,
Mhm.
but it's actually the parents allowing them to have it.
Yes, yes, very true.
Telling them, yes, you can have it.
Mhm.
You can have it, you can go and buy it, and so on. So we need parents on board as well, just to know that, yes, they can go out there and enjoy an event without having that
Yes.
alcoholic beverage in
For
their
sure,
hand.
for sure. And you know, that's part of the safeguards and safety tips that we want to leave with persons today. And of course, for our older persons, adults, and so on, we want them to ensure that they plan their trips and their outings. You know you're going to drink, so everyone who's going should not be drinking, if I can say that. Or before you leave, ensure that there is one person that would not drink, to ensure that everybody gets home safely.
Unless, of course, you're going to be using a taxi,
A taxi,
or
all
one
right.
of those,
Yeah.
what they call them,
Ride
ride
share.
share
Yeah.
companies.
Right. I'm not sure how
which is
popular.
not usually which is not usually
Yeah,
the
that's
case.
not
It's
usually the
usually
case. Of course.
somebody within the group
Right.
is going to try.
So yeah, so persons who, I will be going out to those events. You will be consuming alcohol, going out as a group. Ensure that there is someone who can get everyone home safely. And I always say that your memories don't mean anything if you can live to tell them. So yes, you'll be having a good time, but you want to live to tell the story. You want to live to tell whoever what you did, whenever. You understand?
And the other thing is, sometimes people go out and they get so drunk
Mm-hmm.
that they can't even remember what they did. So
Yeah.
there really are no memories
Well,
to talk
true,
about.
true.
So
And I guess we'll get into that deeper
yes,
as we go.
the moderation
Yeah,
aspect
the moderation
of it.
aspect of it. And of course, simple things like and for persons who are going alone, ensure that somebody knows where you're going, and somebody can
Absolutely.
check on you, or there's someone you can call in case of an emergency, and all of that. For persons who go in like a group, agree on a meeting point, people will obviously stray and go to different parts, or whatever, but ensure that there's a meeting point that again everybody gets home safely,
so that you don't leave
yeah, you don't leave
anybody.
anyone there.
Yeah.
And of course our minors, that they are accompanied by an adult, somebody knows where they're going. You don't want to be the person having to go to the police saying that you have lost a minor, a child, or somebody. So I think those are some of the things that we must be aware of in the excitement and the hype of all of it. These tips, we must be able to ensure that we have them in place before we go. That there's a plan, that if in case something happens, you go in a group. And unfortunately, I just saw a video this morning that a young lady was in a particular place, and somebody and she was saying that came to dance on her, and then she said she refused, and then he punched her or something. So I mean, sometimes we downplay those things, but these things are real experiences. And nobody wants to have a negative experience.
No, you go out to have fun.
Exactly. But we must be aware that safety should be our priority.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the messages we want to leave today, that yes, you want to have fun, but in having your fun, understand that your safety is your priority.
And I would like to add a little bit to the minors. When it comes to the minors, in as much as sometimes we want our teenagers to be out there to experience, if as a parent you're unable to go, and you're sending your child out with adults, you need to know that these people are responsible enough that they will actually be looking out for your child.
True.
You need to know whether they are the type of people who would give alcohol to your child, what their views are in terms of
those
children
things.
consuming alcohol out there, and that sort of thing. So you really need to, you may know people, you may be friends with people,
True.
but then you need to know how they would behave in certain situations before you allow your child, because they themselves may be heavy drinkers when they're out,
Right.
and at that point your child may not be top priority.
Right, for sure.
You understand? So we need to think about all of those things in terms of safeguarding our minors during this season.
Yeah, and I agree too. And just as you were saying, I think it starts with the parents, and we want to encourage them to have these conversations with their children. I mean, the Substance Abuse Secretariat cannot go into all the homes. I mean, we are happy we have platforms like these, but we want parents to speak to their children about the dangers of those substances. and as we go on, we would see that they are getting more dangerous as time goes, and sometimes we think that St. Lucia is probably we're not experiencing those things there, but that's furthest from the
yes,
truth.
we think that we live in
A bubble,
yes,
yeah.
a nice little a safe
A
bubble.
safe, exactly. So so have conversations with your children about those things as parents, so that for themselves they can choose not to use those things, and reach to a point probably later in the adult years they would want to, but they would understand the dangers of these substances.
And if the parents themselves are not fully aware of everything that's out there, at least during that conversation, you can give general
Of course.
tips, general safety tips. You may not know every single substance that's
Right,
out there,
for sure.
how it can be introduced, what effect it might have, but you can have those, basic general conversations to try to keep them safe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
So I guess you touch on that, some of
Yeah,
the things
some of the
that
things that,
could
yeah.
be included in that type
Right,
of conversation.
And well, we can transition to that part. Like when somebody has been exposed to a dangerous substance, what are some of the things that they can do? And it links with what we were just saying, that you would feel the difference when that substance is starting to affect you. Some persons use things like cannabis, edible cannabis. Again, that will take a little time, but when it starts getting the experiences, probably you were not aware. So we want to give some tips as it pertains to when you're exposed to one of those substances and you feel the difference, what you should do. The first thing is, of course, ensure that you get to a safe place, a safe location. If you're in a group, tell somebody what you are feeling and what you are experiencing, that they know that now the plan that we had initially has to come into effect, because one of our group members cannot remain there.
Hopefully the group actually sees it like that, because some people don't want to lose their bottom for anything. So make sure you know who you're going out there with.
Yeah, and that's why the plan is important in a case of something like that. And we're saying that because everyone reacts to substances different. Some of these substances, and I think as we go later, we will see how they affect the immediate effect can, cause us to have medical emergencies. So it's not something that let me go and try to slip that off, or I'll wait how I feel tomorrow. No, because it will get worse. So that's why persons must be aware and stay aware of what they are consuming, as you were saying, not just in food but in your drink. You must always be able to track your drink and what's in there, that nothing is in there that you did not put or you don't know that's in there, because we have in St. Lucia substances that persons mix with alcoholic drinks, like Molly, for example. Molly is an MDMA. Molly is a synthetic substance, meaning made in a lab. It's not natural. Molly is used at those events because persons want extra energy to go from event to event. So, they want to stay until daybreak and be on the road still. Caffeinated drinks too. And persons who use those substances and are not aware of the effects, when the effects hit, then they would feel themselves some way different. So the dizziness, some persons might experience hallucinations. And when we say hallucinations there, it really means that you hear things, your senses are heightened because you probably, normally you will not think of your heart beating. But when, especially edible cannabis, your breathing, the normal functions, as if it becomes amplified. So you're hearing your heart beating faster, or you're feeling it in different places. And that now, causes you to reach to a panic state, that you're experiencing something that you never had before. You might hear things, and have different experiences that you would eventually want to be taken to an emergency room. So that's how serious it is, on the seriousness of the situation that we're speaking about. So when these things happen, then we must have a plan. We cannot continue to remain in the situation and think that it will pass, because some person might need medical assistance. I think I saw
Usually at those events, there's a medical tent, right?
Right.
Depending on the event,
right.
usually there's
I think that's part of the
mass
the mass crowd event planning.
Yes.
So again, ensure you know where these tents are.
Yes.
That again, if you're alone, that you probably can't find your way there, and explain to them what is happening. That's some of the things that we must be aware of, and that does not destroy your joy and your excitement when you go to an event, but you must be aware. You must ensure that your safety again is your priority. And again, if you go with a group of persons, that you have that sense of responsibility for everyone that is accompanying.
And that's very interesting, Caleb, because I know it seems to me that our society is becoming a society where, some people may notice somebody experiencing those symptoms that
true.
you're talking about, and they take it very lightly. And everybody is more interested in recording so that they can get as many likes and attention on social media and that sort of thing. So it's really important that people understand that these things are serious.
Very serious.
Very, very serious. Somebody could easily have their life changed so drastically.
Yeah, very true.
So very, very drastically because of that. So we need to take those things seriously and not make everything a pappy show. Don't make everything a pappy show.
And I said things like dizziness and those things, but substances sometimes, again, according to the person using it, it can build that aggression, that tendency to be violent. And again, if a part of your group or your crew, however you want to call it, you're seeing that starting to be in the person's attitude and behavior, then we encourage you to step in, because you don't want a fallout from that change in behavior. So it's not just a physical thing, but it's a change in your mood, a change in your behavior that these substances cause. Things like seizures. Seizures can, cause somebody to become unconscious. Then it becomes a serious medical emergency. So, and that's how serious the substances that are around us today can get. So you're consuming more than you should, and then put yourself into one of those medical emergencies. So the message really is, if you're consuming alcohol, don't mix it with other substances. Don't mix it with other substances. Alcohol already is intoxicating. Alcohol already impairs your judgment, already changes your mood. For some people, again, it can put them over the edge. And as you were saying earlier, they may not remember the things they do or how they behaved. Somebody has to remind them of it. So if we are really concerned about other persons, I think we should be able to tell somebody you had enough, and help them find their way home or in somewhere safe that nothing more happens to them.
And distract them in a way that they will not immediately go looking for another drink.
Yeah.
Now, when you talked about mixing substances, the alcohol,
Mhm.
could we include energy drinks in there?
Yeah, we can
Yes, because
definitely.
sometimes people don't think of energy drinks. When we talk about substances, they think about, alcohol and maybe hard drugs and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So we should not be mixing the alcohol
Yeah,
with energy drinks either.
at all.
Right?
That
At
in
all.
itself too is very dangerous, because these two substances are two different types of substances. Alcohol we would classify, well, in large quantities as a depressant, meaning it causes your body functions to work slower, hence the impaired judgment, the slurred speech. Um, you know, you probably will not be able to balance yourself very well and all of that. Whereas an energy drink, because of being highly caffeinated, caffeine would be a stimulant. So a stimulant now um, triggers your body to work faster. So think of these two activities happening in your system
At the same
at the
time.
same time. Persons have actually had to reach to the hospital because, again, the immediate effects are on your heart. So you drink several of them, and now you feel your heart will rupture inside of your chest. Your breathing is faster, and again, mixing alcohol with any other substances. That's why certain medications you cannot use when
You
using
cannot drink
alcohol,
alcohol
right?
at all when you're
Because
taking it.
again, mixing drugs, any chemist would tell you, mixing substances, you create another substance. Um, Mixing marijuana and tobacco, you creating something else, that is something that's dangerous for our young men, especially with the increased cases of COPD.
Oh,
Yeah, I
definitely.
saw, and that's just digressing a little bit from events, but again, speaking about smoking, when we say smoking, we include all of those things, but because all of them are smoking, not just tobacco, smoking,
Exactly.
vaping, in public spaces. We want to remind persons that that is against the law. That is against the law. There should be areas where persons who choose to smoke can go to smoke away, right?
Yes.
Away from everyone else, because it's really person's right, a right to have clean air. So, and the public space is anywhere the public uses or accesses. So that's anywhere. So
Anyway.
that's where the event will be.
So even though the event is in a private hall,
Hmm. Yeah,
it
because
would be considered a
you bring the public
space. It
there.
would be
Yeah,
con-
you bring the public there because they are accessing there. Um, And as we go, you have joined us on a few of our conversing activities in the various communities. We find more persons not really supporting the public smoking.
No, not at all.
Right. So there are more of us who want that respect. We want persons to know that we don't choose to smoke.
Yeah, and you're killing the people's vibe.
Yeah,
You go out to
yeah,
enjoy
exactly,
yourself,
yeah.
and then you have to deal with all that smoke in your face.
Right.
And there are so many people who they don't want to be
Right.
around that
Yeah,
smoke.
exactly. And two, protecting the vulnerable people. So we have persons who have different respiratory issues,
Exactly.
and they too want to enjoy themselves. They want to, we are putting their lives at risk when we do not keep to the law. So I think there are more of us, more persons who choose not to smoke.
Yes.
And we get that sense as we go around speaking to the public. And we want to, in this case, that's not so much the smoker's response. Yes, take yourself away, but the organizers of the events ensure that there are messages reminding persons that smoking in public is against the law. Even you want your event to be well attended, to be going by the law, have an area for them to smoke away from everything else. Ensure that they know where it is, and so on. So we want to remind persons that those things, and again, we want to commend, especially in previous events like jazz. I heard this year that most events there were messages, and people reported that it was less or non-existent, the smoking in public. And that's where we want to reach in St. Lucia. Everybody wants to enjoy themselves.
Exactly.
And go and have a good time, and be able to come back and you're not high from somebody else's smoke, or you understand. Yeah. And so we really want to appeal to the public to respect each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, respect each other.
Most definitely. Now, speaking about that, it was just playing out in my mind, and I'm thinking, I wonder if there was a smokers only event, how many of the smokers would actually go? Because sometimes the people who smoke, they don't really they cannot really tolerate having other people smoking around them.
True.
So if you're one of those people, just imagine the person who does not smoke at all, and you go out there to enjoy yourself, and you're coming back with your clothes thinking of smoke. You could not enjoy yourself and all of that. So let's be a little bit more considerate.
Yes.
Everybody pay their money to enjoy themselves.
Yes.
So let everybody enjoy their hard-earned dollars, please and thanks.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's basic respect. Basic respect. And I want to believe that we are respectable people, and I want to think good of us as a people. Something else that persons should be concerned about is we touched on it, drinking under the influence. We usually see an increase in the accidents and
collisions.
Collisions.
I don't like to say accidents, because they're like so preventable if you do.
Well, you're right. You're correct.
The vehicular collisions.
The collisions. Wanting to drive under the influence is, I would say, a selfish thing, because you're not putting only yourself at risk, but persons who innocently, and that is on another level, because somebody may not be in this coming from the same area as you or what you were involved in, and now you have changed their lives forever. So again, the consideration, the respect. If you are unable to, no matter how many times you have done it before, I know people boast about being intoxicated and being able to reach home. They eventually say they don't know how.
That's usually a guy thing. That's usually a guy thing.
Yes.
The macho. I was so drunk, I didn't know how I reach at my home. I think I take 10 minutes from Denry to Labrie. Garçon! And it's like they're so proud of it. But along the way, you may not even be aware of how many people had to drive off to the side to allow you to pass. The people who were driving behind you afraid to overtake because you're doing so much madness in the road and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, although the men would probably speak about it more, but in terms of the use of these substances, we see the gap closing.
in terms of
In terms in
women and their consumption
the
and our
consumption, the
consumption.
smoking, the drinking,
Mhm.
and again the impairment in your judgment, thinking that you'll be able to reach home, and reach there safely. So we want persons and continue to remind persons that ensure that you have a way. Know your limit firstly. Know your limit, because going drinking alcohol in excess is only detrimental to your body. And we know, and we have the burden of our NCDs, the diabetes and hypertension, the kidney failures. You know, these things only affect you, but there's an indirect effect when you you drink in excess, you cannot control yourself, you start infringing on the rights of other persons. As we said earlier, then somebody would probably tell you you want to dance with them, and they're not for it because of your impairment. I mean, you can become violent, and that when you're sober up now, that's something that you would never do.
You never
Exactly,
even,
yeah,
yes, it's
thought
not.
of in a so we want to persons to remind, know how these substances affect you as a person, and when you think, when you have reached to that level, that limit, stop.
And not only that, Caleb, when you're aware of how you're affected by alcohol, for example, I think there's a culture out there,
Hmm.
even among adults, of that peer pressure. That peer pressure. So the person says, I don't want a
Right.
drink.
Hmm.
And you'll
Yeah,
pressure that
true.
person to
That's
take
true.
a drink. The person will ask for water.
That's true.
Me, I bind around, I bind water,
Right.
and pressure you. Take a this, take a
Mhm.
that, and sometimes adults bend to peer pressure.
That's correct. Yeah.
Not everybody, in as much as they may know what their limit is, not everybody is strong enough to just refuse.
Hmm.
Because when you get the pressure, sometimes they
The
tell you
ridicule.
you're
Yeah.
killing the
Mm-hmm.
vibe and all kind of things.
Yeah.
So some people really don't know how to deal with that. So to avoid all of that, they take it and they go beyond their limit. So I would encourage people out there,
Hmm.
if somebody has said to you, I do not want a drink, I don't want an alcoholic drink, just accept that and respect that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
really don't need that pressure.
Yeah. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And that again leans into what we were saying about person's safety and general respect and courtesy for other persons. Um, one thing I want to mention too is, a lot of these events would sometimes, because of our climate, um, it's hot. Um, they would be during the day, um, and people will be drinking a lot of alcohol. Alcohol dehydrates,
Dehydrates.
because of.
But you can't tell that to some people who think that when they drink a cold beer,
Uh-huh.
when they just
It's
keep drinking
refreshing.
the cold beers, it's refreshing.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it dehydrates. So the urination, a lot of urination, um, because it's hot, you sweat a lot, so a lot of fluid is leaving your body. So we encourage persons to be aware of that and drink a lot of water as well. Not so much sweet things, that doesn't help, but a lot of water, so that you're not dehydrated, again, and it doesn't become an medical
The medical
emergency,
emergency.
that you out of heat exhaustion, dehydration, that you need to find yourself at one of our wellness centers, or one of our hospitals. And you know, as we were speaking about the mixing of substances and persons who have had, you know, a serious I guess episode of a substance being mixed, they want to try something new, again the molly or you know cannabis, because cannabis can come in a liquid form too. You know, there are canned drinks that contain cannabis. We want to encourage persons to and that's for us, for testing, to keep a sample of what they use, or yeah, there will be the edibles, and then you have had that adverse reaction. Don't throw it away.
Okay, so you're asking them not to throw it away.
Yeah,
How
don't-
will they get them to you?
Well, through the medical, yeah,
To the
persons who,
medical booth?
yeah, persons who probably get to the hospital or the medical booth and they are treated. Um, we're asking the persons who will be doing the treating to ask them whether they have a sample of what they used. That's important because that's
So
how.
what if somebody just happens to get a hold of something because somebody was trying to get them to use it and they figure, maybe I can give that to these people at Saks.
Yeah, they can.
So how
through the
do they do
police.
that?
Through the
Through the
police. Yeah.
police.
They can give it to the police. Again, if you don't want to face the police, through our hospital emergency room and so on, they are aware of our program, our early warning system, where we monitor, especially around these events, the infiltration of new substances, because we have persons coming from everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we never
And
know.
people have their habits.
Yeah, people have their habits, and we cannot dig our head in the sand thinking that it would be all
that it's just little weed that's out
it's
there.
it's all fair game. We know that there will be these substances there. So we want persons to be alert, stay aware. If they see or you know get any of those substances, we'll be happy to ensure that through our forensic lab, test them to know what's in country. What's in country, and to be able to warn our people adequately that these things are here local. We don't want a case of you know, we seeing our people just laying down on the streets and not knowing the reason for that, or our people passing out, or severe, as you were saying, medical emergencies, 10 persons having to reach the hospital because they consume
something.
Yeah, exactly. We know the burden that can cause, and not just the burden, but how serious it is for some people. It can be life-threatening.
It can be life-threatening.
Yeah. So I just want to appeal to the public that if you know, we know what substances are traditional to us. If you see something that does not look like what we
something
use,
that looks new to you.
Yeah, new
to you.
New to you. You've never seen it before. It can be a peel, a powder.
And sometimes
a
if they're
crystal.
offering it to you, they may actually tell you what it's supposed to do for you.
Yeah.
Like when you spoke about Molly earlier, I was thinking, look at how easily somebody could be influenced to use it, because you said, okay, they might tell you it will help you to stay
of course,
stay up for a long time, and you know you want to go straight from that fete to that fete. You don't have time to sleep. And see how easily somebody could be influenced, and probably more so our younger people.
Yes, of course.
I mean, yes, generally they tend to have more energy. By the time you hit 40, when it's 11 o'clock and you're in the fete, you're ready to go home, your eyes are closing for some of us.
Yeah.
So that is how easily people can be influenced into taking something that can be so very dangerous to their health.
And the danger in these things, Fawn, really is that we do not know what's in them. And that's the honest truth, that these substances on any given day can have a different makeup, or
So they may carry the same name, but
yeah,
have
different
different
chemicals. Yeah,
in
different
there.
chemicals in there. Chemicals that can affect us differently. I hope your listeners are understanding the seriousness of it. So it's not just cannabis that you grow. That's not what we're talking about. But it's chemicals made in a lab, or um, skilled chemists are able to extract and add to probably certain things that we use commonly and make something else that can be dangerous to persons, especially as you in the context that persons want to go and go and go, and you run the risk of having too much in your system. And again, you never know how you are, or you would react to a chemical you don't know. So you have to
So
always be.
say for example, you have used Molly before, and you found that you did not have too many
Right.
adverse
Reaction.
effects to the Molly, and you get a hold of some more Molly, but that Molly may have a different chemical
Exactly.
makeup than what you have used previously. So
That's exactly what
that's
it
what
is.
you say.
Yes.
Okay, so this new one may actually have a totally different
Yeah.
effect on you.
And somebody might be asking why.
Okay, so tell us
because
why.
because they are not regulated. These are made in what we call clandestine labs. So you don't. It might be in somebody basement or some.
So it's not like in
It's not like a
like
pharmacy. Yeah,
pharmaceutical company,
that
and
goes.
they have
Yeah,
exactly
exactly.
what
Right.
amount of
Ingredients and
everything
so
they should
on.
have in
Yeah,
each
exactly.
pill.
In a controlled environment.
Okay.
That's not what you're dealing with. You're dealing with somebody who wants to make money, and to make it to make the most profit, and any way they can make it cheaper for you, cheaper for them, but
more
expensive
expensive
for you. That's the aim.
So to have a higher profit
Profit
margin.
margin. So these things are not regulated. They you know they are made in the underworld, if I could say that, and then come into our markets, our space. So it's something that we have to be aware of and know that, again, nobody wants to say that at an event, 10 persons end up having medical emergencies because they consumed an unknown substance. How many of them died? That would be a sad thing to say.
Very much so.
That you went for, your enjoyment, and then having a medical emergency. And that is not far-fetched. And that is not to place fear in anybody, but just to make persons aware that these are the things now we are contending in St. Lucia, in the Caribbean, and we as a people, we must be aware and understand that our safety is our priority.
And there's something else. When we talk about these substances, usually we think of people being introduced to it unknowingly. But there's a subset of people who hear about those substances and just out of curiosity, they want to use it. So I think we want to try to discourage people from letting the curiosity get the better of them too.
That's true too.
Yeah. Because in as much as there are people who just, it was slipped into whatever they drink or whatever. Those of you out there who are thinking that, out of curiosity, let me just try that. That it may not be such a good idea because it may have serious. long-term effects on your health.
Yes.
Yeah? So there are two sides.
Yeah, there are two sides to it. And I mean, just like the issue of binge drinking, people plan to drink so much to be wasted. That is.
You cannot understand the thrill. I see you just shaking your head. Caleb cannot understand the thrill that people get from doing
Not
that.
just but that's the most dangerous thing. That you cannot plan to get to a point where you have lost control. And if I want to leave anything with the people today is understand that your safety is your priority. Never reach to a point where you have lost control of knowing what is happening around you.
You're not aware of anything around you that's happening.
The social side to that is a lot of our persons have been violated in cases because they are under the influence. That's no invitation for somebody to, but we know the society we live in. So again, we have to bring it to light. And the unfortunate thing is that they cannot tell who or where or when.
No,
yeah,
they're unable to give any details.
Right, and that's the danger of some of those substances. For both men and women, that some of these substances wipe out your short-term memory, and you'll not be able to recount some of the things. You just know that you are violated, and being able to live with that fact after that is something that no one should experience, because that was not your aim going to whatever, but that is a reality, and we want to make persons aware. That's why we keep saying that your safety is your priority. Plan when you're going out. Ensure that somebody knows you have a safe way to get back home.
Know your crew.
Yeah, know your crew, and plan with your crew in case of one of those things coming up, that we know what should happen next, that we're not leaving anybody behind. We're not abandoning anybody. We know that when our friends, if they go overboard, they can get a little aggressive. So I think,
in as much as we're not out there to babysit, as some people might say, I come to enjoy myself and I come to babysit grown people. But that person is your friend. And you want the best for your friend.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
So if it takes a little, as we say, casting a little eye on them, making sure that they're drinking a little water in between drinks, and that's.
And it can be simple. It can be simply that reminding them, okay, take some water. Yeah. You understand? It can be those simple things. Or you see somebody putting something in their drink, don't just allow it to do that. No. You understand? So it's not babysitting anybody. It's just being aware, looking out for each other, looking out for our most vulnerable, our young people, our minors, those persons. I think we as a people should get to that point. That it's not it's not just me enjoying myself and not caring, because at the end of the day, you never know when it can affect you. And that's the thing, sometimes we do not think of, I don't want this to happen to anybody, but you're coming from the same event and somebody is drinking and driving, or driving under the influence, smoking, your investment in your vehicle and so on, is total. It puts you back. You understand? So if we're saving ourselves when we ensure that the persons around us are remaining safe.
And I just want to And when we talk about, those substances, we focus a lot on, as you said, the vulnerable, maybe the minors, the younger persons, and so on. But we don't want the older folks to think that they are immune,
No,
and that somebody cannot maliciously put something into your drink and so on. So, in as much as we talk a lot about younger people and so on, we want everybody to be alert. We want everybody to follow all of those, safety
Of
tips.
course, yeah, it's for everybody.
It's for everybody, because you might be of a certain age and figure,
oh, that's not for me.
That's not for me.
And it can happen anywhere, not just at those events.
Exactly.
And that's what we want to remind you. Because we can definitely say these substances are in solution. If anybody you were following the news earlier this year, we are at the Substance Abuse Secretariat, through our early warning system, placed an alert about MDMA, Molly, being found firstly at our ports coming in. But when you find something at the port, it means that
it's probably already inside.
It's there. So that's not the first time. So and in our work, we hear people say they use it, how they use it, how it made them feel. So we know that it's in our communities. Again, Molly is synthetic. Molly is not a natural thing. So and as you rightly said, it changes over the time according to its strength or its makeup. So being aware of that is important. And again, it's not to instill fear in anybody's minds, but as you celebrate, ensure that your safety is your priority.
Now, I realize that we've had a comment or a question from Sheldon. Sheldon is one of our regular listeners. Thank you for joining us, Sheldon, and thank you for the question. Will there be medical emergency services? And Naomi, who is my colleague
hello, Naomi.
Naomi, who is my colleague at the Education and Communications Unit of the Ministry of Health, she has answered. Thank you so much, Naomi. She says, yes, all mass events require medical personnel. So, Sheldon, I know you got your answer. And Naomi, thank you for that.
Yes.
So, Caleb, we've talked a lot. You put a lot of information out there. So, we're hoping that as we go through this season, this carnival season, see I'm winding down. Oh, Naomi says hi, Caleb.
Hi, Naomi. Thank you for joining us. Yes.
So as we go through this carnival season, we're hoping that it will be, as we say, uneventful. We will not hear about the example you talked about earlier about several people being adversely affected and being in hospital, and we don't want to hear about the collisions because people were under the influence and those things. We really hope that people will, take their safety and other people's safety very, very seriously.
Yes.
And also the public spoken. We have to remind
that would be
people. We have to
remind
them. We have to remind
my
them.
closing.
Yes.
I think that we are capable of doing it because we saw it in just a few months ago that the persons who were responsible ensured that there was less of it. Through the constant messaging, the constant reminding of persons. So I know we have the capability of doing it. And I know we want everybody to enjoy themselves. There was no backlash out from it. So no smoker came and say, oh, you're all cramping my style. So our people are respectable people. I know they understand the seriousness of those things. Even when we speak in the communities, they know that, they are not supposed to smoke in public. So we want to encourage the event organizers to, have those messaging. If they need it, they can contact us at the Substance Abuse Secretariat. Send us an email at substance.abuse at govt.lc or 4687921, and we can get this message into them or your department, the communications. Again, to help us remind persons of our laws and respecting others, and at the end of the day, for everybody to ensure that they make their memories, get home safely, and leave to tell somebody about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the aim.
So, Caleb, thank you so much for joining us today. Caleb, it was a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed. I didn't even, when I look up there,
You
and I
can go
saw
the
it was
entire
already
day.
11 o'clock.
Yeah, it's always a nice
And
time.
you know, you put so much good information out there, and I hope that people will actually take it in and put it into practice. It's always a pleasure to have you. You know, we like to bother you.
I
We
hope you
will
can
call
invite me
you. We
very
will
soon.
invite
Yes,
you
yes,
again.
yes. Because we have, and you know, I can see they said tomorrow we'll be meeting with the parents at Maycode. So
that is in response to,
yeah, that's in response
to
to yeah, and it's specific to issues of vaping among our young persons. Again, the smoking, the mixing, and so on. So if parents from Soufre, the environs, they're hearing us, you know, you're welcome to invite us. If you have a group of persons, we're ready to do that sensitization with our parents, help you, you know, ask the right questions, give
and
you
to
the
probably
information
notice
that
the
we have.
signs
Notice
so
the
on.
signs and so on. So I just want to stick that in there, that you can contact Louisa or Fawn if you have a group of persons, parents specifically, that you think at your church, your community groups, you think can benefit from that information. So we are open and ready to, you know, discuss with you.
I personally think that all parents can benefit from that. It's not a matter of whether you think you have any suspicions that your child may be involved.
Correct.
We all need to have that information so we know how to approach our parenting, how to speak to anybody. You may have a young relative and you just want to talk to them about the possible dangers of things because they look up to you, you're a mentor to them, and so on. All adults who work with children should be exposed to that information, and I hope that you will be getting the calls. Don't cry when you see you start getting calls. I know you're a very hardworking guy. The unit, I know that the unit will make it happen.
Yeah, of course, and that's again because we know the seriousness of it. We don't want it to reach to a point that our people say they did not know. So you know, giving the information, you know, showing you what they look like, what to see. A lot of persons.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And that is where our world is going. So you don't want to be left behind as a parent, not being aware of what your children are exposed to, going into our secondary schools, our tertiary education.
And even as early as
primary, right? Very true. Yeah. So please, we're waiting for the call through Fawn and Louisa. They will help us organize. We'll schedule it, and yes, that will be our greatest joy.
So thank you again, Caleb, and thank you to all of our listeners for joining us this morning. And thank you to Sheldon and Naomi. We always appreciate the feedback. So if there is anything you would like to say in terms of how what information is being put out there, how it's being put out there, feel free to give us that feedback so that we can make things, you know, tweak it to ensure that people are getting exactly what they need in terms of the guests and the information that we put out there. But definitely today, I know nobody can complain because Caleb did an excellent job today. And we thank all of you for joining us. Just a little reminder that next week, don't expect to see us here. It's a holiday on Monday. Right, Caleb? Carnival Monday? Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope I'm not jumping the gun, but I
It's
know Carnival Monday
I
is
don't.
coming. Carnival Monday is coming, and on Carnival Monday, we will not be here. And I don't think we will be coming in also on the Monday that Soufre has Carnival, because I mean, we want people to go out there and enjoy themselves. And I expect to be out there myself as well. So thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Somebody's asking a question.
What's the fine for smoking in public?
I know there's a fine, Naomi. I think it's $5,000 for the individual, and if it's in an establishment, I think it's 10.
But we can always
I can always check
verify
that,
and share the information with the public.
Yeah.
And of course, we know Caleb will be back here. So when he comes back
Yeah, for
again,
sure. I'll have
he
that
will
information.
know definitely, so that he can put that information out there. Thank you for that question, Naomi, and thank you everybody for tuning in. And bye bye. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
Please don't bother me. Just stay on